Thought means just flowing. Sometime you touch it means awareness. Sometime you don't touch it, it's just going. This is the way it is happening. Whenever you touch it and whatever you experience, you do not just leave it. You pick up them and try to create an idea about what is going on in you. You are not able to live with the whole what is going on. So you wanted to just pick up few things and live with that. If your house is too big, you live in one portion and decorate, try to put your energy, attention, everything under one portion. Trying to create that one portion is what this joy shaft or pain shaft. Sometimes you create the pain shaft as a part of you. Sometimes you create the joy shaft as a part of you. Just create an idea. You see, now you have an idea. This food is very tasty. That idea, why? Because many times you had that food and it was tasty. So just the idea, just that depth, that thing, that's where the whole struggle starts. That's where the whole trouble starts. Instead of giving the idea, this food is tasty because so many times I ate and I have an idea about taste and all those things. Relax and straight away just eat. You will see it's totally different. It's not just the word tasty. And one more thing, whenever you create a label, when you say the particular experience or a person brings joy to you, second time the same person, same situation, same place or the same thing, same object may not bring that same joy to you. Because the mind has come in between. It has created the game. So whenever you create a joy shaft, you try to elongate by bringing that same person, same object, same situation into the life so that the expecting same joy will come. The joy shaft will become longer, but the same joy does not come. So the struggle to elongate the joy shaft leads only to pain. Then when you have the pain, you try to disconnect or disturb, break the pain shaft. The more you try to break the pain shaft, the more life you give. Actually, if you just sit and watch, let me have the death fear, it's okay. Automatically it will be replaced by some other thought. But the more you try, let me not have the death fear, you already created a gap by let me not have so that the death fear can again come. Because you created a gap, you are creating facility for death fear to happen. If you just relax, death fear cannot continue to be in your inner space. Because by your very nature, your inner space is replaced. If you relax, it will be replaced. If you try to replace, it will come back. That's the whole thing. Without understanding the logic, how the inner world functions, we are creating suffering. See, if you just relax, even if it is a worst fear of death or a lust or a greed, it can't hold your inner space. As I told you, simple thought will replace it. But if you are trying to replace, you are creating a gap for that to happen again. It cannot be permanently there. That is the law. So, if you relax, what will happen? Something else will come and replace it. Because you are not relaxing, you are creating some other thought. So, you yourself replacing, creating new thought and making now space for that death fear to come back. Because you are replacing death fear, what it thinks, oh, now already one more thought has come, now I can go back again. Let's go back. So, by suppressing, you are inviting. By reacting, you are creating. By replacing, by force, you are creating place.
Uninvited guest, the thoughts is
uninvited guest. Uninvited guest also creates irritation, you see. You don't have to create that irritation. Sometimes it creates an irritation. It doesn't have to be irritation. It's like a completely non-caring. A complete, not bothered. Not bothered. Even these words are too small. Unclutching is the ultimate right word. Use that word itself.
There's so much of literature available. What is your view on scientific reasoning on spiritual healing?
It's good in the initial level as an inspiration. To tell you honestly, science is not that evolved to touch spirituality. Please I'm not, if I sound little strong, please forgive me. See, science is a bacha, 400-year-old guy. And spirituality is something like 10,000-year-old science. And one more thing, our masters are not something like a cheaters or superstitious guys or immature people. They lived such an intense quality of consciousness. They lived with such great quality of consciousness. So we don't have to use this ordinary scientist to measure our masters. This is too small scale. You understand? In the initial level, we too talk. I also talk in some places, science and spirituality and all, just to inspire the initial level people. And it's like the language in which they understand, I talk to them. Science is not evolved to touch the spiritual heights. You understand? Spirituality has reached totally different heights and depth. Science is just if you read the Albert Einstein's books, Einstein's literatures, you will see in the last days, he says very clearly, after this science cannot evolve, only the mystics can answer everything. Where science ends, spirituality starts. So, in the initial level, okay, it's like a bridging game. You also be there, we will also be there, let's help each other and all those things. The scientific reasoning, if it helps you, your shraddha, your sincerity, okay, have it. But the science is not that big to measure spirituality. There are thousands of things. You can, if it sounds too mystical, please forgive me. I have seen with my own eyes, these two eyes, I have seen yogis levitating and all those things. How will you define? Science can never justify. Can never, yes.
Self-congratulating oneself by saying spirituality is much bigger than science.
The moment this question comes, I have to become silent. Sorry. I have to become silent. You see, is it self-confidence or a spiritual experience? This is a very subtle line. If you experience what I am saying, then I can be authentically say it's a spiritual experience. You see, it's not only just mine, it's yours also. But till you experience, you always have a right to say that it's ego or self-confidence. You have the right to complain till I give you the experience. So now I don't have any reason or a logical justification. So I have to back.
You were writing the biography, and there is a God of the person whom you call master. I don't know what it is.
Yes. Two things.
Now, what is the difference between the two, and what is actually God?
Yes. See, one thing, person who is feeling he is missing money in the life, who will be his God? Only Lakshmi, goddess of wealth. Person who is feeling he is missing knowledge in his life, who will be his God? Naturally, the Saraswati, knowledge of God, the goddess of knowledge. He will be constantly remembering only that deity. Whatever you feel is missing in you, you will project that, and fulfillment of that only you will feel as God. Whatever you feel you are missing, you will try to have it by meditating or believing or praying to that energy. So, a normal man projects his God out of his fear or greed. An enlightened being does not project anything. He just lives his very life. The very life radiates godliness. Exactly, if you want to ask the definition of God, whatever is, that isness, if you come, you see, it's like I was talking about understanding that both identities are false. Identity which you are trying to project to the outer world, the identity which you carry in you as you, both are lies. The moment you understand this and relax, what great inner healing happens. See, the moment somebody convinces you clearly, inspires you and says, you don't have to prove yourself to the world, or you don't have to prove yourself to yourself, what tremendous relaxation happens. What tremendous rest happens.
Tremendous feeling of relaxation.
That inner healing I call God.
Inner healing or tremendous feeling of relaxation. For ordinary person, I have personally seen, even old ladies going to the temples, they get similar feeling, which by one clutching.
Then surely they have evolved. Their devotion has evolved.
Following rituals also, they are approaching to the same same level.
Yes.
And
See.
by following this path of unclutching and with consciousness, we are reaching to the same.
Yes. Both are reaching. See, both can reach the same goal. It takes little time. That's all. You see. Buddha is also reaching there. No doubt at all. What is the difference? There is no doubt. One thing. You see, I am not against ritual. If you come to our ashram, you will see the amount of ritual goes on there. I am a person, wherever it is possible, I erect temples and every day, continuously rituals goes on. I am not against rituals, or I am not against these basic traditions. Maybe I may not accept this statement. See, I am not against rituals. No, I am not against rituals. Usually, I am a great supporter of rituals, and I myself perform in a mass scale, like 1,008 Homaguntas we place and do, and something like this Shivratri, if you come, 12 hours continuously rituals will be there in the ashram. March 6th whole night. So, all these things are okay, but I don't say it is the easiest way. I can say, if it inspires you to go to the higher level, it is easiest way, but sometimes it just perspires, not inspires. In that level, it's danger. See, who teaches you ritual is the main thing. With what understanding you do the ritual is the main thing. So I cannot say it is the easiest way. I don't feel it's the easiest way. With understanding, it can be easiest way. Not without that. So when you say that a few ladies reaching the same level, I can say by and by, the understanding would have been added to their being. That only raises them. Beautifully Shankara says in Viveka Chudamani, even Kalpakala Pariyanta, one Brahma's age, if you are doing rituals without the knowledge or the understanding, you will not reach anywhere. And beautifully Shankara puts in Viveka Chudamani. So I feel the rituals are okay to start. I am not against them. I myself practice, teach, and I keep the whole tradition alive. So that is not the thing. But we need the understanding part. We need to give a little more importance to understanding part. That's all I am saying.
The idea of decluttering appears to be self-contained. In this sense, as you are, so many thoughts are coming into expression. If a particular thought you want to declutter, first we have to focus on that thought. Then only we will think about decluttering.
No. These are all too many. You are again bringing too many numbers into one process. You understand? You don't have to focus on the thought to unclutch. Unclutching does not need to be, say, after unclutching, you may have the focused consciousness. But for unclutching, you don't need focused consciousness. Concentration is a byproduct of meditation, concentration is not path for meditation. Dreams, unclutch in the dream also, it's possible.
How do you do that?
In the day, see, actually, your night dreaming is nothing but the reflection of daydreaming. Let me finish describing. Daydreaming means the whole day constantly oscillating. If you unclutch during daydreaming, that same awareness will enter into night dreaming. See, daydreaming and night dreaming is very closely connected. Daydreaming, if you reduce the daydreaming, night dreaming will reduce. The daydreaming reduction means unclutching in the daytime. Naturally, you will start unclutching in the night time. I have seen it happening in my own life. You see, the unclutching is such a powerful technique. It can reach to your subconscious and unconscious. Now insert it into your consciousness and start churning. And it will reach to subconscious and unconscious. It's like a Kshirasagara Mardana. They call it churning of the Milky Ocean. Just like that. If you understand that story, the Meru, the hill, is the technique unclutching. And all the devatas are good thoughts, all the rakshasas are bad thoughts. Mind is the snake. The technique is the Meru, the hill, and the mind is the snake. Good thoughts are devatas and bad thoughts are rakshasas. And the Milky Ocean is your consciousness. Start churning. Guru is the tortoise, who is balancing the technique properly. And Guru is the tortoise. And start churning this side and that side. And you will see suddenly, first the Kalpadaru will come. All your desires will be fulfilled. The different energies will come. Siddhis will come. All these devatas who want that, they stop with that, that's all. And after that, deep depression will come out. That's alagala. Tiredness or depression. The mind, by churning, your mind will say, no, I am bored, I am tired. This is not going to lead anywhere. This Swami came and taught something, I am sitting and doing something here. This idea, it is arduous, strenuous mental process. That's a poison. Alagala Visha. That time, the person who comes and swallows that poison and gives you the inspiration is Master Shiva. He comes and swallows that poison and gives you the inspiration. No, don't bother. Churn again. And he is the Master, Shiva, again. Shiva appears as a Vishnu, tortoise, and maintains the churning process. And he appears as a protection, guide, during the depression, and gives you the encouragement. And finally, what comes out is Amrita, enlightenment. Till then, the churning has to continue. Unclutching has to be drilled continuously. You see, this idea I have to continue unclutching also you take now. Don't even have that idea. Just unclutch this moment. Just unclutch this moment. You will never feel bored by unclutching. If you start thinking about unclutching, you may feel bored. Not by unclutching. I have never seen anybody feeling bored by unclutching. They feel bored by thinking about unclutching. How long I can unclutch? What will happen? Why should I unclutch? When it will end? You will feel bored. You will have the problems. Just by unclutching, nobody felt bored. Every moment will be new. Every moment will be ecstasy. Every moment will be joy. Every moment will be excitement. Unclutching is a source of unending excitement. Ananda Spurana. The unending excitement and intensity.
Without mind, how do you think the great advances of science and technology take place? Like
all great advances and breakthroughs happen only when the gap between the mind happened. Please understand, not only Albert Einstein, I myself personally met one scientist, I forgot his name, just 3 years before in San Jose. He discovered laser and maser and got the Nobel Prize. I myself personally sat with him. I had a lunch with him. I was talking to him. How did you discover? Exactly describe the experience. How it happened. He said, Swamiji, it's a business secret. I can't tell. Then finally I agreed to tell. He told me, Swamiji, I was thinking, nothing happened about this. Suddenly one day early morning in New York, I went for a walk. And I was relaxing in the bench. I decided that I am not going to be successful. I am supposed to present this in a meeting after 3 days. So I decided that I am not going to appear in that meeting. I am not going to present. Forget about it. I relaxed. Over. Suddenly I don't know how it happened. There was a big gap, silence in my inner space when I was resting in the New York Park. And end of that gap, silence, this whole formula was revealed. It just happened in me, in my logic. And one important thing, I know the result, but I do not know how I came to the conclusion. I did not know the steps. Now if I present the result in the meeting, they will tell that I have stolen the result. Because I don't know the steps. 3 days I sat and developed the steps, and 3rd day I presented Swamiji. He says, I developed the steps and presented. Not only his experience, I myself personally studied many of the breakthroughs. Many breakthroughs. It always happened between the gaps, not by thinking. One thing, our masters have put all their attention and energy in the inner science. They did not bother about the outer world. See, they did not bother to build dams and bridges, but they bothered to build huge temples. To tell you honestly, surely if we did not build temples and build the dams and infrastructure and airports and dams, and we put the energy in the outer things, the way in which the West has spent the energy, we would have excelled much better. You see, please understand, do not measure India with the Western standards. They abuse us by constantly measuring us with their standard. Just see the depression rate, crime rate. See the depression rate.